Hi everybody and welcome to episode 12 of May Google Be With You. Today we are going to take the most amazing field trips ever completely for free. We're going to be using Google Expeditions. Now this, like I said, free app allows us to do both virtual and augmented reality with our students. There's over 900 tours now, which is really amazing because they can be anything from destination tours, cultural tours, career tours, and even ones that are made through animation, such as inside the human respiratory system. So it's a really great way for kids to be able to bring learning to life. We can match a lot of these tours to many aspects of our curriculum in traditional, social and science areas, but it's also an amazing way to really have students be able to think outside of the box for things like settings of stories. This can be used as provocations. I also take a lot of these tours and pull out the different numeracy aspects of things, and I'm going to show you that today with the Galapagos Islands. What's fantastic is we recently have had an update in Edmonton Catholic schools. Now, for anybody else watching, just so you know, you normally connect from your teacher iPad to your student devices via a peer-to-peer network, which is usually just an external router. Now in Edmonton Catholic schools, we have upgraded our network, and so now if you are using school-based devices that are connected to our ECSD Priv network, and as long as your teacher device is connected to that same network, you can all be on the same tour, no router, no extra equipment, nothing else required. So this is really exciting. So that's pro tip number one, is just make sure that all of your devices, all of your school-owned devices are on ECSD Priv, and you'll be able to do this. Now, you don't only have to do this guided. I do love the fact that Google Expeditions allows me, the teacher, to take my students on a tour, and I'm still control the pace of the information and the flow of the field trip. I can pause things, I can redirect children's attention to myself, and of course I can control what we see next. Now, with the recent upgrade to Google Expeditions, you don't only have to be in a guided expedition. If students want to do this as an individual learning activity or even be able to do these at home, they absolutely can. So they just need to have any device with Google Expeditions. If you're a teacher, you need to make sure that you sign in to the Google Expeditions app if you'd like to be a guide. Otherwise, nobody else needs to sign into the app in order to be able to follow or just look at the different expeditions. Below this video, I've included an amazing spreadsheet that was put together that's constantly being updated that outlines all of the different expeditions and does give you a bit of a description. Now, with over 900 expeditions, you can imagine how much work that is. What I've done is I have a list for you below with just some potential grade level areas that cover all aspects of things like social, science, math, language arts, and even some of our comm classes and career classes from our high school. So you're going to be able to see a large variety of things. The final thing is we've had an update to Google Expeditions that allows augmented reality. These are objects coming to life in the middle of your classroom. So we're about to get started. What you'll need to have today is your iPad with a Google Expeditions app on it. You'll need to make sure that your iPad has the latest OS update just to make sure that it has the fullest functionality. And please make sure that your Google Expedition app has been updated to its most recent version as well. And so right now, just grab that iPad and let's get ready to go on an amazing field trip. All right, so you can see I have my iPad here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Expeditions. When you're inside Expeditions, I just want to give you a little bit of information. On the top left-hand side, you see our pancake stack. This actually lets you be able to look into and see who is actually signed into your iPad, and you'll need to be able to use your Edmonton Catholic Schools account and be signed into Priv just if you want to lead that expedition. Now that you're in here, the first place you're going to see is a beautiful new interface and design if you have the most updated version of the app. If you still see that sort of dark black feature in the app, just know that you have an older version of the app and you need to do an update. What's nice now is the fact that we can search tours. So if you wanted to search one of the suggestions I gave you below, such as looking up the Amazon, I can go ahead and it's going to pull up anything that has that keyword of Amazon, and it's going to show me those tours. You can also just simply search the tours if you want to look for just a specific thing, like maybe you just want to look at landscapes. Environment, this is landscapes and environment. I can check off that. I want environment and augmented reality. Now it's going to pull up the augmented reality tours that have to do with the environment. Same thing, science in the environment. You can see all these possible combinations. What you can't do is you can't actually search, say, via a grade level or a subject area, which I think is good because we really need to be able to use our professional judgment for what fits with child's interests, their novels, their textbooks, all of those different features. Once you found something that you really want to be able to do, what you need to first do is you need to be able to download it. So for example, if I wanted to do this astronomy VR for my grade 6 sky science, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to download. I need to be able to download that so that now I can use it. So if you are using a peer-to-peer network for any other of our guests that are watching today, you'll need to do the downloading before you connect to your peer-to-peer network. Now, right away, it'll let me guide it or view it right from here. I'm just going to get out of here for just a little second. So there we go. These are all of the different tours that I have available to me. Now, if I look at the very bottom of my iPad, I can see that I have Discover, Library, and Class. If I go down to Library, it's actually going to allow me to see all of the different ones that I have recently downloaded to be able to use with students. So these are the ones that I've downloaded today in preparation for our episode. Now, a little sneak peek for tomorrow. I'm going to be showing you with my very special guest how to create your very own Google Expedition tours. And if you create your own tours, they're going to be sitting right here for you to be able to share with your students. This is unbelievable. So I hope that you tune in tomorrow. All right. So we're going to go back to the downloads and I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour. And the first place I'm going to take you is to the Galapagos Islands. Now, when I go into this tour, it'll say here if I just want to view it, but right now I want to be able to guide it. Now, right away, it's going to let me have my students join with this code. Because I'm doing this in Edmonton Catholic schools and we're connected on the same different network, I don't have to worry about my students needing to put in this number in order to join. I'm just going to say, got it. Now, my students are going to get their iPads out and they're going to say join. And I just have a second device here. You can see that I have been able to join right there. And so now what I can do, so I've got a device here, I've got a device here. Now what students can do is they can take these devices, even if they don't have the small VR viewers. What I teach students how to do is how to hold it with two hands from side to side to not touch the screen. Students are very used to touching the screen and consuming apps. You want them to hold it from side to side and they're gonna look up, 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 and down, 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 and turn around. And I get them to physically do that movement in preparation for this. Now, a little gospel according to Trish, I get students to stand up in order to experience this. And if you have students that are gonna try to walk, like I tell students, don't walk. There's no steps with our body. We're just looking up, looking down, and turning from side to side. There's no forward or backward movement. And sometimes what helps is maybe just using the tiles on the floor as a way to glue their feet, a little bit of tape, X marks the spot, and even hula hoops, just so that kids aren't actually running into each other or running into things is probably like my best tip for you. So now that I have this, one of the things that you can see is it says paused by guide. I haven't actually launched the tour yet. So you are still in control of what the students see. So let's go ahead and give it a little launch. So now that I'm here, I can go ahead and I can see a couple of things. I have multiple scenes that I can scroll through and be able to choose from. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get back to the beginning here and I'm going to look at this scene and I'm going to say start. Now that I'm inside my scene, what's really nice is that there's no gyroscope. The teacher doesn't have to have that vertigo feeling. Everything holds still for me, and I'm just scrolling through and looking through this activity as a teacher without having to feel a little bit seasick. Now, if I was to look at this as a student, so I have my device here as a student, what I'm doing is I'm looking up and down, and that's how all the movement now happens. You can see as I turn my iPad, I'm moving and looking through this expedition through all of these different features. So I don't have that movement as a teacher, which I appreciate. So now that I'm in here, one of the things you're going to notice is it does offer you some information. So if you wanted to use this tour at face value, just know that it does give you some inquiry questions at the beginning. And then what there also is available in here are things called points of interest. So this is those little bits of information, but you really want to direct students' attention to it. And so when I touch that, it's going to create a point of interest, and the students are simply going to see an arrow that they need to follow by turning their bodies in the expedition until they are looking at the same point of interest. what will happen is once the student is looking at the same point of interest as you, notice how you see the little happy face floating there? That is so that you will know what your students are looking at. I can't see individual names of students, but I can definitely see who has got their attention to where, just to be able to know what they are seeing. Now, of course, I can talk about the scientific information that I'm seeing in here. But also, just so you know, I like to be able to pull out different numeracy features or literacy features when I'm doing some of these content area expeditions. Maybe right now I don't have anything specific for the Galapagos Islands in my subject area, but I love to do this tour in my kindergarten and grade 1 classes because what I want to look at is being able to see how can we start to do things like counting and estimation. So one of the activities I like to do in here has nothing to do with sea lions. I will talk to them about sea lions and they're so wowed by where we are, but I will ask the question, how many sea lions do you see? Now the kids are going to go through and they're going to start counting and be able to look at this. Now, what I like to do is as the kids are looking around and they come up with their number, and I can have the kids be able to tell me what they see. One little feature I will point out to you, at the very top right-hand side, you see a little squiggly line? That is your inking. It means that you are now able to ink. So now that I have my inking selected, what I'm able to do is I'm able to use this ink to mark up. So perhaps we're talking about strategies, like being able to count one sea lion at a time. I can write on here and say that what different numbers did kids guess? Somebody guessed 13, somebody guessed 14. What's correct? I can send all of this information and kids can see the inking on their actual devices. I can reset the inking at any time, and of course I can turn it off. Now, if I need to take a little break, give my kids attention, I hit that pause button and they simply see a paused by guide on their screen. What's also nice is I can start to switch my scenes. This is really great when I want kids to be able to look at something different. So in this particular case, I did a math strategy about the Galapagos Islands and we were looking at one-to-one synchronic tagging. Well, now I'm going to press play on another scene. Again, I can let this be the face value of the scene of the Galapagos Islands. But my next question I like to tell the students is, how would we count all of these fish? We can't count them one at a time anymore. And so again, I can pull out that inking. We can talk about some estimation strategies from a small area of a section of something that we're seeing, and we can have a great mathematical conversation in the middle of this beautiful field trip. Now I want to talk to you about augmented reality. Virtual reality is when we are in an immersive 360-degree environment. Whether that is in a real-life image or a computer-generated animation, it means everywhere I look all around me, I see that immersive environment. Augmented reality is when a computer-generated image comes inside of our regular everyday view. So if any of you like Pokemon Go, I actually live in the mecca of Pokemon Go, I think, in the city. Every Saturday, there's hundreds of people there. But basically what it is by pointing my device at what's called a trigger, that little animation pops up. So augmented reality does require triggers, and Google Expeditions has given you the triggers to be able to use. These sheets that you print off, all of the sheets are the same, and you don't need separate triggers for separate AR expeditions. These always work. Now, I will point out you do have to have an updated version of the app in order for this to work, and we have had people tell us that if they do have much older iPads, this hasn't been working, but give it a try. Let's see what happens. So I've printed these off, and I'm going to show you where you can find them. Then we're going to take a look at some of this augmented reality. So when you're on your teacher device, what you can look at is you go to the pancake stack in the top left-hand corner, and when you go there, it's going to say help with markers. What's great with this is it tells you to email or print out the markers, place the markers around the room, and then point the cameras at the markers. Now, just what I did was I was able to take that PDF and just save it in my Google Drive on my iPad, and then I printed it off from there. So now that I'm in here, I can see that I have some things that are AR and VR. So there's a closer look at sharks, and there's even learning about fossils. So let's go take a look at some fossils today. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say guide. It's going to remind me this is an AR tour, so go ahead and put those objects around. Let's go. It's going to remind me wanting to look at what my explorers, if they need that number, I don't need that. And so now that I'm in here, I've got my AR marker just on the table in front of me. And what you're going to see is in that top right-hand corner, you see a little cube. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit that cube, and it's going to activate my camera. So now when I have my camera and I point it at this trigger, it's going to bring to life, whoa, a fossil actually in front of me. This is crazy cool. I can pinch and resize that AR thing just so that I can look at it a little bit differently. I can really go quite close into what I'm seeing. I can look around, and it's going to allow me to go deep into this. At any point, I can simply say done. And now, of course, I can go to another different one, and I can say start, and now I can see that it's given me a totally different augmented reality fossil to be able to look at. And you want to talk about wow factor with kids, this is absolutely unbelievable. There's actually over 100 tours right now just for augmented reality. And each of those tours has about 5 or 6 objects inside of them. So that's like 600 objects just to be able to have kids explore completely for free. So I hope you enjoyed Expeditions. You're going to see how amazing it is to have these wins built for you. But just know that tomorrow we're going to show you the brand new, just released to Edmonton Catholic Schools, Google VR Tour Creator, where you get to make your own virtual reality for students as well. And it can be used right here in Expeditions. So thanks for joining for episode 12. I hope you had fun in our field trip, and I look forward to you joining us tomorrow. Bye, everybody.